Thanks everyone. We'll just get people up to the stage, and we also have Whitney Radish. We're going to get these mics operating. Maybe just while they're getting the mics operating, I'll use this. So Whitney has been part of BBM since April 2017 after experiencing the lowest point in life in regards to her physical and mental health. Over 2 years, 2 years on, Whitney's a graduate of University of Auckland, has lost over 50 kilograms while achieving things she never thought was possible. Most significant change has been the improvement in her mental health due to the skills that BBM has taught her. So, is this one operating now? No, it's not. Okay, I'm going to have to stay on this mic. So I'm going to come over this couch as soon as my lapel mic gets going. But can I just ask you, Whitney, you've got the hand mic there. Just tell us a little bit about, about your journey and what in particular BBM offered you that I'm sure other bunches of weight loss diets and other things you've been through that haven't worked. So Whitney, tell us a bit about that.
Hello. Kia ora everyone, my name is Whitney. So my journey began in 2017, and I say it began then because that was my lowest point mentally. The thought of leaving my home overwhelmed me. I stayed in bed all day, and I'd only leave to turn to my comfort, which was food. And I was a student at the University of Auckland. I was meant to be in my final semester, but I stopped going. I couldn't fit in the lecture theatre seats, and being a 23-year-old girl, you know, being in public and hating being in public, and not that, but hating myself, that was the lowest point. I've never let my weight hold me back. I've always been, you know, the biggest one of my group of friends and everything, but it wasn't until mentally I had completely lost myself to my depression that things changed. I didn't have an aha moment where I woke up one day and said, okay, this is it, I'm going to lose weight and be happy, because that's what we're taught most of our lives, you know, if you're skinny, you'll be happy. What I realised is that I needed to deal with my mental health first. So the first step I did was opened up to my friends and family about the reality of what was going on. They would ask me how my day was, and I'd say, oh, uni was good, it's going well, when really I was at home all day, eating takeaways, in bed, and things like that. So that was my first step. And in April 2017, my best friend Sarah saw a post on Facebook about this free boot camp in South Auckland. She asked me to go, and straight away I said, no way. I've tried every single diet, every single exercise, everything out there. There's, you know, nothing's going to help me, but as my best friend, she asked me to go support her, and, you know, I had to turn up for her. I walked into this room full of complete strangers, and what was different about BBM is that even though I was so negative about myself, nobody judged me. When everyone was doing bear crawls up the hall and I was power walking, nobody turned to me and said, come on, you need to run. Come on, you need to do this. Everyone was cheering me on for walking, and going from a person who hated even being in public to having complete strangers accept me no matter what had happened. You know, they didn't even know me, and they believed in me, and that was what changed my life completely. From there, you know, fast forward, I've been with BBM 2 years now. Previously I quit uni because I hated it so much because of being in public. I went back in 2018 and completed my degree. This is actually where I graduated, so it's crazy to be here. I'm a graduate of the University of Auckland, and just going back to a place that was just negative for me, that shows mentally how much I had changed. I've also lost over 50 kgs to date. Yes, I've got more weight to lose, but BBM has taught me that it's so much more than that number on the scale. I let it define me my entire life, but not anymore. Mentally, that's what had completely changed. From there, I've recently flew to Fiji and didn't have to ask for a seatbelt extension. That was amazing. It's those things that really change your life. The BBM award that Dave just spoke about, I was actually a mentor on the recent one, so I got to help and be an inspiration to the people that were where I was, and being somebody who, you know, hid away from the world to now, I train 6 days a week, but looking at me, people don't know that. You know, I still get judged for my size, but I don't care because I have come so far. And it's just that mental strength. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much indeed for that. That's good. Thanks for those stories, Whitney. And So we have, if you've got questions, send them through. We've got a few coming through, a few kind of coming your way, actually, Robin. And they're probably the ones around bariatric surgery and medications and intermittent fasting, all those doctor-type questions. What are your thoughts about that, and how do you respond to those sort of questions about the kind of array of medical and surgical options for patients?
Sure. So medications I thought were going to be the answer maybe, 15 or 20 years ago. I certainly don't prescribe any medications. They've all proven to be pretty useless, so I don't even consider drugs. They've all got unpleasant side effects as far as I can tell. I have always been a huge fan of bariatric surgery. Nothing has put me off. The operations are becoming more refined. The criteria are opening up, but so often I'm seeing people at the time when they've got an obesity-related cardiomyopathy or pulmonary hypertension. So I think the thing about bariatric surgery is, raise it early. Look at your young people who have just started to get into trouble and think about how their lives may be different if they could be having, if they had access to an operation early on in the piece. The criteria are up on most DHB websites. GPs are referring people more and more, and my understanding is that they get a kind and respectful reception from the teams that look after.
Things like intermittent fasting and Michael Mosley type approaches.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I think that it's just going to be like every other form of diet, honestly. All I know is that from that study, it's good to lose weight fast. There's no problem in taking weird diets, to lose a lot of weight. It doesn't infer that you're going to necessarily do worse off further down the line. If there was some reason why somebody had to lose a lot of weight fast for maybe for a surgical procedure or something like that, then I think we should probably think about using liquid replacement diets. But it's only a short-term fix. Don't, for goodness sake, think this is the way people are going to live the rest of their lives. I sure as hell wouldn't.
Just on that intermittent fasting, when I have a guy that messages me that I work with now, he was 345 kilos when I started with him, and he couldn't leave the house, so I'd go to him and help him. And he'd ask me that question, what do you think about intermittent fasting? And I said, well, why don't you just stop drinking fizzy drinks first? It's just, you just got to live a lifestyle.
So what are the dietary kind of approaches that work for people with you? I mean, I guess it's the physical activity and the engagement is the key.
We teach a lifestyle. So when I started, I had no money. So there goes the excuse that it's expensive. And I just ate what I could. But I was also educated in what was good to eat, and I made use of, like, my meal would be, I'd just throw some eggs in a pan, I'd put some oats on it, and whatever frozen veggies I had. Now, I couldn't cook, but if you're educated and you know what to cook, you can make those nice. But I didn't care, I just ate what was good for me.
Fasting actually has an interesting cultural narrative.
Oh, yes, tell it.
We explored some of that work during our time at Toi Tangata, alongside of Paora at Te Papatakoro or Te Aroa, because in the pre-European Māori society, the first thing that we would do when we would wake was actually go and do the work. There was work to be done. So after sleeping, it would be quite a long time before the first meal was actually had. So in terms of reconnecting with traditional knowledge, that concept of fasting appeared to be within our narrative.
Can I just come back, just while you've got the floor there, Leonie, all those innovative things that you showed us was fantastic. Is it just money that's the issue? I mean, are there other things that are needed to get these things? Some of them still relatively small, I guess, in their scope, but what's needed to turn those into something that's really going to be significant across the population?
Yeah, I think we need a number of things all happening at once, and some of it is political support, the right policies in place in order for different opportunities and ventures to launch from. But you do need the thought leaders, the people who are willing to reshape the frame that the work needs to evolve from. We need the agitators like Bo here, who's ready to challenge and motivate at different levels too. But similar to what Whitney was saying, it actually needs the people around it to give it some kaha, some strength.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Whitney, people that you come across or yourself thought about bariatric surgery, is that something that you discuss within the group and the team, and how do you think about it?
So for me personally, my mum was like, no way, you're not getting it done. So it was I never looked into it. But I know a few people that have had it done. Lots of them are still struggling with the mental issues around why they were eating and where they got it. Personally, it's each to their own. If that's what you need to do to move forward, that's up to you. But for me, with BBM, seeing Dave, who's lost over 100 kgs, he knows what it felt like for me mentally. Phil, who's now lost 115, I think, he was 295 kgs, and he's inspired me a lot, seeing him just doing it from eating healthy, exercising, but it's all about who you surround yourself with. These are living examples, and we don't glorify the journey at all. One of my team that I mentored, Lonsi, he's one of the ones that is off his diabetics medication, and he's a over 40-year-old, and I'm 25, and I'm mentoring this guy, and it's just the relationship we've built. It's seeing the changes, and that there is hope. But I do understand that some people need to get it done, and that's okay. We've got people in BBM that have had it done before, but I don't want people to think that that's their only option.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's for me.
Thanks for that. And you're going through medical school. How's the training being on weight bias within medical school, and in general, what's actually needed to increase the awareness around weight bias and do something about it across society?
I think that the training around weight bias while I was passing through medical school was pretty minimal. What did happen though was that when I wrote I'm at Otago, I can't really speak for Auckland, but when I wrote about weight bias, a whole lot of heads popped up and said, yes, we've been saying this quietly in our corner for ages as well, let's kind of start doing things about it. And so my understanding is that even within the couple of years since I've passed through early learning in medicine, so the preclinical training, there is increased awareness and talking about weight bias. I think that one thing I really struggle with is that when we have metabolism modules and that kind of thing, and we hear patient stories, right? Like you have a patient come in and talk. It's always a thin person, and it's always a person who's lost weight within, the last short period of time. And so it's like talking about being large, but they're not large anymore, and they think that it's simple to not be large forever, right? And so I guess I want to hear a diversity of stories within our training, and I think that that's what I tried to put forward in writing that.
And is it a little bit like the Me Too? Is it going to require movement, people putting up their hands, just like you did, which I thought was an extremely brave thing to do, but it struck a note, didn't it? And do you think that if more people stand up and say this is not good enough and this is my story and so on, that's going to be fundamental to shifting societal views on this?
Possibly. I think there's a real catharsis for people in sharing their stories, right? I mean, it's not a selfless kind of brave thing. It's like I was cross and I got to tell everyone why I was cross. That was fun, But I think that there's a real catharsis, like with Me Too, and people going, this thing that happened to me wasn't okay. But I think that everyone, people it's happened to and people it hasn't, needs to work together to find solutions. Just saying it happens isn't enough to change it.
All right, Robin?
Can I just make a comment about weight bias? Rebecca Poole, who's done a lot of this work on stigmatisation, did studies where they assessed weight bias using those tools that you mentioned, Izzy, in a group of people, and they divided a group of students up into two, and one of them, they gave them a talk about, motivating people to lose weight, to do more exercise and so forth, and in the other group, they talked about the geno-environmental factors influencing body size, and then they did the weight stigmatisation test again, and the people who were taught about the geno-environmental effects had a big drop in the bias. It tended to be maintained in the sort of the harden up, try harder crowd.
Okay. Dave, so your program, is it only people who are wanting to lose weight, or do you get people in there just wanting to improve health and prevent weight gain? and engage in general? Is it, and
Yeah,
particularly young people as well?
Our group's open to everyone, you know, so it's you really have to come down. Hopefully some of you guys are coming to our boot camp tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Okay, you're running a boot camp here. Oh, good on you.
But it's, you know, when you come to one and you see someone that is over 200 kilos, but training next to someone really fit, there's no judgment. The really fit person gets a good workout. The person just off the couch is also getting a good workout. There's no judgment. So we're for everyone. It's not just the Māori PI. We cover, you know, all nationalities. But you know, it's just an amazing, people feel safe.
Right.
And it's not just for obese people, it's for everyone.
Okay. And, you know, heard Whitney's story about depression and mental health, but there's probably a bunch of other things like gadget addiction and all sorts of other things, I guess, that come to the fore when they're participating. Is that right? And how do you deal with that?
Well, with any addiction, it's tough, you know.
Yeah.
I can't talk about gadget addiction because I'm on my phone all day promoting TBM, so it's, you know. But look, it's just about, all we teach is a healthy lifestyle. You know, so it's keeping everything in balance. It's okay to have a treat meal. You know, I enjoy a burger once a week. I didn't get 210 kilos by having a burger once a week. I got it because I was eating burgers every day. So it's all right to have, as long as you have a balance, and it's about being happy.
Mm. Okay, Leonie, can I ask you a little bit about the, for Māori and Pacific, there are a few things that kind of keep coming up. And on the questioning side, I guess there's one about body size and BMI and all that sort of thing. Have we got past that, or is that still a bit of a thorny one? And also, the tools of engagement to me seem to be, particularly on the physical activity side, that Māori and Pacific and within groups as well. But I was pleased to see in a lot of your innovative stories the food coming into this and delving into the heritage of food. So there's a couple of questions in there for you.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, you would have recognised throughout my entire presentation, I didn't make one reference to weight or BMI or anything like that, because I think where we have arrived is that in terms of transforming our lifestyles, it's about knowledge, and those three words that I had at the end of my presentation, which I didn't get to, was research, relearn, and reconnect. And that is essentially what I suppose in my role at Toi Tangata was to give people and communities permission to research those things and relearn those things that kept us well and thriving as a people, and reconnecting to those to inform the way that we carry out our healthy lifestyles. So, I don't value those dominant biomedical approaches. What I do value certainly is reconnecting with our traditional knowledge and using that to inform how we might carry out our lives today.
Right. I think the BMI is valuable at a measurement at a population level, at a clinical level, individual level. There are so many other factors you've got to take into account that it drops away in its significance, doesn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Robin, question coming through about the gut microbiome and how that might be contributing. Have you been keeping up with that literature?
Well, it seemed so sort of crazy. It was fascinating and, you know, exciting for a while, wasn't it? But I think, you know, I mean, call me cynical, but I suspect that our gut microbiome is, you know, no more capable of being influenced than, well, you know, mostly our body size, I'm going to say that, but, you know, I think we are the way we are, and I suspect our gut microbiome is the way that it is. I don't think there's very good evidence that we can alter this by putting in somebody else's microbiome unless you've got Crohn's disease, or from changing your diet. So I suspect that genetics also play a part in our gut microbiome, and I don't think it's going to be a tool for, you know, altering our body size.
Whitney, can I ask you about people in the group and yourself? How much is there discussion or engagement about the wider societal drivers of this? In particular, thinking about things like food that's available, all the fast food outlets, things that are put up around sugar tax, for example. Is there much discourse or discussion about the wider environment beyond your individual selves and your collective selves that might be driving the obesity that you could contribute to?
Definitely. I think BBM, like Dave said, it's a safe place for me to open up, like I said earlier, I wouldn't even tell my parents or my partner that I was living with at the time about what I was going through. BBM gave me the strength to open up and be honest about it. So we talk about the struggles that we go through, like when Krispy Kreme opened down the road. We talked about how, this is right next to my work.
And it's ridiculous. And I was out there outside Krispy Kreme's with film crew filming this, and I thought this is ridiculous that our people are celebrating the fact that a donut shop's opening.
Yeah.
I like donuts myself, but I don't celebrate, that awesome, a donut shop's open and it's 24 hours. It's ridiculous.
And I suppose that's my efforts now in moving into creating Indigenous food products. We're all about creating healthy foods and vegetables, healthy foods and beverages that everyone can enjoy, but at the same time reconnecting people to those native plant foods within it. Our first range of products has hit that really healthy for you and super convenient as well. Our first range are actually frozen superfood smoothie drops. All you have to do is add water or a liquid of your choice, shake it up, and you have a highly functional...
We need someone to promote it.
We do. We might need to team up with Butterbean Motivation.
A social
feel
influencer.
some real synergy happening here. But yeah, that's like it's a lofty goal. But if we can start influencing the food industry in a way that our communities are getting excited when a kaitahi smoothie store opens up, then I think we'll be winning.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's an excuse a lot of us use, and I use it all the time. I don't have the time to eat healthy. I don't have, but all my money went on food. I'm saving so much more money now because I'm actually smart with what I'm eating, preparation.
KFC's not cheap.
Yeah, and just learning about what it takes and putting that effort in for yourself because you're worth, to feel good about yourself, and that's what I found through BBM.
Okay, 30 seconds, Izzy.
I just think I would be remiss in not mentioning that within the nutrition and dietetics profession, there are a couple of important movements that relate to learning to reconnect with food in your body. So health at every size, which is mentioned in the RACP statement, but also intuitive eating. There are books on both of these. There are a lot of web resources about learning to trust your body within this crazy world we live in, I guess.
Okay, thanks for that. There's a few other questions that came up we didn't quite have time for around types of exercise and so on. But I just want to thank all the participants. That was a fantastic panel. There were true life stories, journeys that we've been on, and I hope that you've enjoyed that experience. I think nothing about us without us is important for RACP conferences and developing guidelines and so on. I think that's a critical part, and also how we as a college go forward in managing the weight bias, the training and so on. So can you just put your hands together for this fantastic panel?
I just have to congratulate Boyd on the fantastic amount of work that he did in developing the obesity guidelines. It was like herding cats at one stage, but he was absolutely staunch and put in a tremendous number of hours. And thank you, Boyd. It was a tremendous piece of work.
Okay.